So what's happening at sea? What's happening with Shane Jones? As some proposals are out, they have been for a little while now, and they're conveniently framed as this fisheries reform. But LegaSea is calling them out and saying, well, hang on, this is a wish list of changes that are demanded effectively by the quota owners or the commercial fishing industry itself. And it grants all these powers to the minister. And we, the fishing public, we lose what rights we have left, and we lose our ability to control things and have a say on things. There's weaker governance, all sorts of things to remove things like public consultation, camera regulators and regulations. So, people won't have to all the time use cameras on boats. So where is this heading, and how much of an impact will it have on recreational fishing? We went fishing yesterday with Sam from LegaSea, who will join us shortly, but also a couple of his mates as well took us out there. What a great day. Fantastic day. Lots of banter that if it ever went public, we'd have to probably leave the country, resign and leave the country. Sam would have to go first. And then, but did we catch lots of fish? Were there lots of fish out there? I'm sure they were there, but we didn't catch big ones. We didn't catch too many of them, although we threw a few back because we're good citizens. Sam, g'day. Nice to have you on the program.
Duncan, mate. Good to hear from you.
Yeah. You sleep all right? It was a long day at sea, but we had a good time.
Oh, I slept like a baby last night. It was, can't go wrong after a lovely afternoon on the water.
Yeah, it was good fun. The fish aren't as abundant as they were, right? They're not out there like they were, are they?
No, absolutely. But I was just listening in a few minutes ago, and I wanted to go back to your previous conversation quickly. So back in the day, the All Blacks, they weren't even allowed to have their wives in the changing rooms in the pre-match or the after-match functions. So it wasn't until Andy Hayden and Fitzy and those guys, they stood up for themselves and said, no, I want the missus to come and enjoy the celebrations too. So it's quite remarkable how quickly we've come in a long period of time. But yeah, look, the reform conversation, it's an interesting one because we're really worried that it's going to weaken environmental protections. They're talking about limiting access to cameras on boats, that the public won't be able to see what's going on out there anymore. We know that when the cameras on boats were put on, the recorded discards went up by 46%. Kingfish and snapper went up by 900%. So we know that there are issues out there, and it feels like the commercial industry or the regulators now are trying to just make it out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, and to those people who say, I've just received a text in here, oh, yeah, this guy's anti-fisherman, I'm sick of it, LegaSea, Greenpeace Party, Forest and Bird, they're all the same. You're not the same. You believe in fishing, right?
Oh, I love fishing. It's all I've ever wanted to do. I mean, I've been a commercial diver in a previous life, and one of our chief strategists is actually a third-generation ex-commercial fisherman. So, we've got lots of relationships with the commercial fishing industry. But what we acknowledge is that the way that we're fishing right now is it's got to change. And a lot of that is actually to do with the quota management system. I think that's the fundamental issue here. So the quota management system makes things like scallop dredging legal. And what we're saying is that we need to transition into hand gathering of scallops. We've just got to do it better because the environment's not handling the pressure that we're putting on it.
Well, what's happened out in the Hodaki Gulf with dredging and so forth? Because we've seen the trawlers come through there for years, and they've screwed the place, haven't they?
Effectively. I mean, what we're talking about is if you damage the environment, then you're not going to get productivity. And so, your future population growth, that sort of thing, is just going to decline. So we're kind of killing the goose that lays the golden egg right now. We're in a doom loop. And all we have to do is look at things like scallops. Scallops are gone. Yeah. There are no scallops, which actually means that the scallop fishing industry, it's gone too. So we've lost the jobs, we've lost the economy, everything that goes with these natural resources. If we don't look after that, then nothing else flourishes.
Now, is this a nod to the commercial sector from Jones? Is this Jones getting in their pockets and them in his pockets? I mean, these guys they're too close, and they're effectively going to see more cooperation between them and the public shut out of discourse.
Yeah, well, I think that's a big part of our concern. So Jones is the the ex-chair of Sea Lords. These reform processes, they comfortably stood up on TV and said, that the seafood industry has been working for 12 months to put these together. One of the aspects of it is that they actually want to remove public consultation from future fisheries management decisions. So the industry and the regulators have got together and they've said, 12 months of hard work, and the public, you've got 6 weeks to decide whether you want to be involved in future fisheries management decisions or not. I mean, that's not fair.
That's tough, isn't it?
Yep, that's part of the problem. I mean, they're saying that it's all under the guise of streamlining the process. And I think if you remove the stakeholders, the public, the people who actually care about the environment, they want to see change, man, you're going to streamline that process. It's going to be super fast because the commercial fishing industry and the regulators, they're prioritising export receipts right now. So it's a short-term solution, but we're still not addressing the fundamental issues. We've got over-allocation, we've got destructive fishing techniques, we've got a lot more going on than simply getting rid of consultation processes.
Can you give me some sort of perspective on how much fish that we catch as recreational fishers around the country or in Auckland or whatever's the best gauge, compared to what the commercial catches? So I know it looks like us recreational fishers are catching lots, but what's the truth? What are the numbers? Because data is crucial in this.
Absolutely. I mean, if we pick on the Hauraki Gulf for a second, there are fish stocks like snapper, where we arguably catch about the same amount as the commercial fishing industry. But the Hauraki Gulf is about 30% of the wider FMA, and then immediately the commercial pressure comes on, Northland, East Cape, that sort of thing. But if we look at the whole country for a second, we export 400,000 tonnes of fish, of our Kaimoana every single year. Domestically, we consume about 40,000 tonnes. Now, that 40,000 tonnes is made up of commercial fishing, recreational and customary. If we just take the recreational component of it, it's about 12,000 tonnes. So, the scale of the consumption by New Zealanders is about 10% of what we're exporting right now.
This is the same with Fonterra and their products. So I think New Zealand consumes 5% of their products. So we're sending offshore. What sort of fish are we sending offshore? Who's sending it, and what sort of money is being made?
We're sending all the good stuff, first of all, and ironically, we're not actually making that much money. So the average export price on your favourite fish is probably around $3 a kilo. Now that's whole, frozen, unprocessed. We're not even filleting these things. Incredibly, I saw a hoki in the supermarket the other day. It was New Zealand hoki, filleted in South Africa and brought back into New Zealand. So, where's the jobs? Where's the value creation in that sort of metric?
Hang on a second. This is like the school lunch program. We're funding them from here, getting them made in Australia, sending them back to Nuhaka and Hawke's Bay. So we're catching fish, we're freezing it, we're sending it somehow to West South Africa, and they send it back for us to sell in our market.
Yep.
What sort of fish?
They process it, they fillet it, they breadcrumb it.
Why aren't we uplifting in terms of our value add? I think that's what they call it in the industry, value add. Why aren't we putting added value into these products? Why can't we do it?
Well, that's exactly the argument. We want a low-impact, high-value fishery. One of the other examples I love to give is that last year we exported about 1.2 million kilos of jack mackerel to Fiji. Now, we exported 1 million kilos of jack mac, $1.80 a kilo. That's it, $1.80, that's all. These are fundamental fish in the ecosystem because everything eats mackerel. Fijians, they can them up. They then import them or export them back to New Zealand. They sell them to us for about $12 a kilo. So, boom, there's value add. The irony of it is, do you know what they do with all the heads and frames, the stuff that they can't put in the can? They sell them back to us for cat food. No, they sell them back to New Zealand for cat food. They use every part of the fish. This is the reason.
What? Well, you mean you need to eat every part of the fish, and I see under some of these proposals from Jones that they'll be allowed to dump at sea again, which undermines your efforts in terms of your distribution of the frames and heads and everything, which we'll talk about shortly. But what's Jones's proposals there?
So this I think this goes right back to the fundamental issues of the quota management system. So we've got a single species quota management system. You're allowed to catch a ton of snapper, but there's no regulation on how you fish for that ton of snapper. So the most economically viable way to do that is bottom trawling. It's indiscriminate and it's destructive. So you're going to catch your kahawai, your trowelly, all sorts of other fish as well. Now, that means what happened a couple of years ago is they introduced this legislation saying land all catch, and you had to bring everything back to port. And the idea was that they were supposed to allow the commercial fishing industry to transition into more selective fishing techniques. What Jones has come out and said is, oh no, bugger that, we'll just reform that and we'll just legalise dumping at sea. So we're going to see more discards of quota and non-quota species, by the way. You know, your seaweeds, your crabs, your crustaceans, all that sort of stuff, off straight back over the side. So it's also going to allow hydrating. So if the fish is not worth bringing home because it's smashed up in the back of the net, whatever, they're going to throw it away and they're going to go again. So we're going to see increased fishing pressure thanks to this regulation change.